Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Hello, and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. And this is a podcast where we talk about all things that are connected to health and living a better life. Mind, body, spirit. This is a community that's being created. I call it our new tribe. And I'd like to welcome all the guests that have come out this year and created what I consider a world-class show. And I think that hold on, I'm getting rid of our little background here so I can have a decent video side of this. Anyways, I'm Joe Grumbine, and I will be hosting and guesting this episode. And today we're going to talk about what I call vitamin J, as well as its co-relationship to therapeutic horticulture. So this is something that I don't know. I think it's underemphasized in the self-help world. And that's why we're bringing it up here. Vitamin J. This is the vitamin of joy. And I think that there's a lot of, everybody finds joy in different ways, different places. But I think that there's a joy in wonder of discovery that at least I find for myself. A way to, I don't know, almost an endless supply. It's almost like a drug or a candy bar or something that makes you happy. And you think about it, okay, well, happiness, what is that? I think somebody distilled it down pretty recently, and I think it's a pretty reasonable explanation. And they said happiness is getting what you want. And when you get what you want, you get happy. But what about joy? And joy can come from a lot of different places. And I guess it depends on what you want that brings you joy. A lot of times bringing joy comes from helping other people do things, putting a smile on somebody's face. Joy, in my experience, has often involved other people, but it doesn't have to. So for me as a kid, the joy of discovery was one of the greatest ones in my life. And I learned how to read at a pretty early age. And I just had this insatiable thirst for knowledge and understanding and exploring and finding out new things. And anytime I discovered a new thing, that feeling, it's joy, my goodness. When I put it this way, all right, you're looking around at a family, and there's a little kid, probably somewhere between 2 months and a year old, and they're in that sort of little baby mode, and they look up at you and they just start smiling and laughing. How does that make you feel? Unless you're some kind of a Grinch, it just makes you feel good. And you think about that feeling that you get in just that moment. It's got healing effects. It's got a power to it. And you think to yourself, well, geez, how long do I go between episodes where I experience that joy? And that's where I think that subject matter here comes in. A lot of people live pretty routine lives, and we do routine things, and we go through experiences that are challenging, frustrating, arduous. All of these things are kind of the antithesis of joy, right? Drudgery and suffering and all of those things, right? So you're sitting there driving for your 2-hour commute or your 35-minute commute, whatever it is. How much joy do you generally find in those? And you think to yourself, well, what are you doing to bring it about? A long time ago, I used to, drive in the car. Remember the old station wagons with the back window, and actually we had the back seat faced the back window. And we, as kids, used to sit in the back seat, and you try to make the driver of the car behind you do something, right? Try to get them to smile or wave or whatever, honk your horn. And every time they would, it would bring you joy. Nowadays, we live in this world of instant gratification and likes and comments and things like that. I think bring us that same kind of joy, but is it the same? It's almost like the difference between uh, a crackhead taking another hit off of that crack pipe and the joy that that brings. Some, I'm sure it does. I've been fortunate enough not to be much of a crack smoker, but it gives you a hit of chemicals, a rush of those things that make you feel good. But just imagine, that first feeling. And I think that that's the difference between joy is it's always the first feeling. It's generally unexpected. Sometimes it's expected, like think about, as a kid, I used to love giving presents, and I would go out of my way and think long and hard about the perfect gift for that person, and I'd shop and or make or whatever, however we came upon it, and then I'd wrap it. I used to be one of those assholes that would wrap a box inside a box inside a box, and I would just love that anticipation. And then when they finally open it up in that moment, and you just go, wow, to me as the giver of that gift, I got probably more joy than the person that received it. um those are ways to get joy. So now let's transfer this over into what we're calling therapeutic horticulture. So as you may or may not know, I run a nonprofit called Gardens of Hope. And at a place called Willow Creek Springs in Southern California, we have a 2.5 acre little slice of heaven. And 27 years ago, my wife Liz and I moved there and began working on the place. And it was a dump. It was, an old rental that had been let go, dilapidated, tweakers, who knows what had happened there, but it was a dump. But we've spent 27 years clearing, cleaning, planting, um, creating, and what we have now is this little slice of paradise. We have a stream that flows through our place. We have a canopy of trees. We have gardens, herb gardens, vegetable gardens, flower gardens. We grow microgreens, all kinds of cool stuff. Have some chickens. And we created this nonprofit where we offer what we're calling therapeutic horticulture. And the whole idea of this is go out inside in the garden, right? Think about, where do you go on vacation? And I would say probably some large percentage of people go on vacation to natural places, to wilderness places, to places where you can see the wonder of nature, the beauty of the wild. But that doesn't have to happen in a faraway place. Oftentimes it does. Usually it involves water. So people go to the ocean or lakes or rivers, things like that. Well, we have a stream and a little pond. And so the water section of that is really important, I believe, because I believe water brings us joy. We're made of water. Water is life. Without it, everything's the desert. And so just being in a place where there's water, I think, is joyful. But then that ability to walk around and observe something new, walking around in a place where it's beautiful where you go. You don't know what you're going to see around the corner. There's all kinds of little winding pathways and what we call little rooms. So where you're in a spot, you can not really see past that spot. And then you go on to another spot and you can't really see past that. And the cool thing about it is there's sort of this enticing wonder and beauty that you go, oh, gee, I wonder what's over there. And then you get over there and you look around and it's kind of cool. Maybe you'll see something interesting. Maybe there's a feature, a piece of art, or a plant or a tree, or some animal. Maybe you'll see a lizard running around, or a frog, or a bird or something. And you think about those things and you go, oh, well, anytime you go, oh, look, there's joy. There's that feeling of amazement, a little bit of awe. We'll talk about, the beauty and wonder of awe in an upcoming episode. I think there's a difference between awe and joy. So I think that one of the things that is critical and key to all elements of health, whether it means your diet, your sleep habits, your exercise habits, what you do for work, if you can find a way to do something that brings you joy, I think it just is crazy healing. I think it has, I think if you look at the people who live a long time and have a good quality of life as they've lived a long time, you'll look in their eyes and see a sparkle. You'll see they find humor. They probably don't take themselves real seriously. There's probably a humility about themselves and a wonder and a childlike wonder. I think that, children, even though they whine and cry a lot, they also find joy real easy. And I think that that's something that we lose as we get older. And so this is something that I really want to encourage. If you take account of yourself, we've talked about accountability. We've talked about a lot of things that are maybe not so fun, but maybe take some accountability. They talk about gratitude journals. Being grateful for things is an easy way to encourage joy. If you start thinking about the things you have instead of the things you don't have, it's easy to get that feeling. And sometimes thinking about the things you have brings about more of the things that you want. And these are all things that, I encourage you to explore. And when we get into the therapeutic value of being in those gardens, planting seeds, watching something pop up. Oh, look, there's a new chili pepper. Oh my goodness, look, there's a flower that just happened. The bees that land on the flowers and the plants, the birds and all the cool things that happen. It's such an easy way to find joy. Sometimes just sitting there on a cool day where the warm sun just covers your skin with a warm embrace. There's just that feeling of joy. I'm going to encourage you all to go out and find yourself some joy today, and take note when you feel that just a little bit, that moment of when you smile or when you're going to laugh. There's that feeling you get. Take a note of it and wonder, what if I had more of that in my life? Do you think it would do good for you? I think it would. So anyways, I'm really tickled with the progress of this podcast. And I want you to know that I'm going to keep doing this podcast as we're building this team in this community. And my goal is to have a really good, solid team and a good, solid new tribe that we're working with. And if you're listening, there's so many new guests coming aboard, and I'm excited to be interviewing a bunch of new people, even so as soon as today. And how does this thing work? It's not sponsored. Well, it's sponsored by Willow Creek Springs. Willow Creek Springs, the company that I founded, covers the cost of this podcast, and my time working with them sponsors the time that I have to put into it. But other than that, we don't have any marketing strategy. We don't have any or marketing budget, I should say. Everything is all organic. And so if you like the show, if you're on the show, please take a minute, listen to some of the other guests, tell somebody about it, subscribe, share it, put a review in. Anything that you do will help us to grow this community and cause it to reach more people, thus becoming a better resource and inspiring other people to participate. So if you're interested in being a guest, get with me. It's joegrumbine@gmail.com, and let me know. We'll schedule you up. Other than that, thank you all for your support, and let's make today a healthy day.